She wasn't even cast. They haven't even got the voice yet. So it was like, it's literally just like a green screen tank, empty tank, and like an X on there. And then, some guy off camera reading the lines off a paper. So it was like, you gotta know what energy level you want to bring to the scene, right, before you go into it.
Who would you say is currently the scariest character on the show? Homelander, Sister Sage, or Billy Butcher?
You know what? I think that it's Sister Sage. She's kind of the puppeteer of it all.
This was Space. Why? It's always the people who are really intelligent, but they're kind of they prefer to be in the background. Those are always the scariest people to me.
You can reason with Butcher. You can reason with Sage. You can't reason with Homelander. If he wants to laser you, he's gonna laser you.
I think Billy Butcher. Yeah. I think those tentacles are disgusting.
Butcher's pretty unhinged. I mean, I might be biased here because he killed me. Butcher. I'll say Butcher.
Even he doesn't really know what he's capable of. He's blacked out, woke up, and blood and guts are everywhere. It's like, shit, he didn't even consciously do this.
But I love the moral quandary of Butcher. He's trying to not become a monster while he tackles the monsters, and I think we all have the same kind of moral quandary every day. That's really powerful to me.
The Deep. This guy is twisted. He's twisted. Come on. Come on.
Tomer said The Deep.
Did he? Yeah, good. Of course, the Deep's so scary. Get him in the ocean. You're done.
You're done.
Toast.
He has a relationship with an octopus, people. Let's finish with that, all right? Come on. I mean,
if we're ever gonna win against monsters, we need to start acting human.
In the final moments of this season, we finally get to hear Kimiko talk. What it was like for you to kind of build up to that moment and just the conversations you had with Eric Kripke about what her first words would be?
All power to the writers, all power to Eric Kripke. He never told me that moment was happening at the end of the season, and so I was pleasantly surprised. She says her first word in order to save Frenchie, and it's so perfect for that. I was quite nervous going into it on the day. I spoke with a speech therapist and talked about the technicalities of okay, well, if she's been mute for most of her life, what does it look like for her to be speaking, etc. But on the day, Kripke gave me a few notes, and I'm very, very happy with how it turned out.
well, that was a very special day. That was something, those days when something's in the air and you can feel it. I mean, it's even, I think, the last song that plays is Nirvana song, right? And that was the feeling while we were shooting it. I said, when I heard that track going with that whole, scenario, I went oh yeah, that's the one. Because that's what we felt, something was beating, something different. It was special. It was very special. Yeah. I was sitting inside when she took me into the truck. I was sitting inside hearing Karen scream, and my heart just went ballistic. I was I wanted to go out and give her a hug and just save her or tell her I'm fine. It was so heartbreaking, but she did a good job, man.
Do you think that Hughie actually cheated on Annie when he slept with the shapeshifter?
He's going through a lot this season. He's going through a lot every season. And I feel Hughie had to really go through a crucible in this season to kind of just to make sure that next season he's gonna have some real wins. So that's what I'm focusing on. It's I'm season 5, he's bound to have some serious wins.
Now that we are going into the final season, I'm curious how you would feel if Hughie died. Do you think you'd be excited, or do you think that you'd be sending a curse-filled email to Eric Kripke?
Oh God, I mean, I would never send a curse-filled email to Eric Kripke. I mean, the man's done so much for me and so much for all of us. But God, I don't want Hughie to die. He's just this little glimmer of hope in such a dark world. If it did happen, though, I'd want it to be right after he has some major character-defining wins. But I don't even want to manifest it. I love my dude so much.
Have you met Tilda Swinton yet?
No, I haven't. No, but if I did, I'd say, hey, thanks for coming and playing with us.
Yeah.
She must have a great sense of humor because she crushed the scene. She made the scene. It was so funny. Yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, how was the kind of relationship with her voice? Did you have it on set, or was it added after?
No, she wasn't even cast. They haven't even got the voice yet. So it was It's literally just like a green screen tank, empty tank, and like an X on there. And then, some guy off camera reading the lines off a paper. So it was like, you gotta like know what energy level you want to bring to the scene, right, before you go into it. So I thought it was, in a weird way, it's a blast shooting because it's kind of like a one-man show and you can kind of do whatever you want and move around. And it was just so much fun. It was my favorite scene to shoot this season. It was great.
The relationship with Butcher and MM is a yin and yang. If MM wasn't there, Butcher would have probably burnt the whole vault down by now. So he's the alter ego. He keeps him in check and keeps him pulled back, the reins pulled back. I think we finally reached a level where Butcher's gone too far. And it'll be interesting to see in season 5, can MM somehow still, rely on either their friendship or intimidation to keep him somewhat in check. I think Butcher actually brought MM on board to keep himself in check. Yeah. But I think now we're past that point now. So it'll be interesting to see what the writers, how the dynamic changes.
I think I enjoyed being on the bad side for so long and exploring what it's like to be not likable. You know what I mean? There's just every decision I made, whether the scene was about that or not, it's like, I'm just gonna give people a cold shoulder all the time and just act nonchalant about everything and just really be an asshole. You know what I mean? Because it's not often that you get to do that. And then we've learned eventually that this is a character that he's developed to survive the world that he's in. And that's when it all started to change. That's when it became interesting even for me, because then I can be this person that I've been working on for so long and actually really enjoy playing. But the moment I turn my back away from the cameras, you get to see a whole other person. And then that became, the humanized A-Train that we have grown to see in the last couple seasons.
To get into spoilers, you do meet a very grisly end. Can you talk about filming that scene on set?
You know what's really funny is that it was actually a really light day for me, and it was so much fun. I was running around, kind of giving everyone their wrap gifts and going from department to department. So I had a really carefree day, and then I just found myself at the end of the day in that scene. I'm lifted up and then split, and then lying in a pool of my own blood. But it weirdly didn't click until I went back to my trailer and I sat down, and usually I sit down in my trailer after the end of a day and I'm like, okay, what's my next scene? What's my next scene? And I realized I didn't have a next scene. And so that was the moment it hit, and that was just, it was really a beautiful day and really shocking, but fantastic, and I loved every second of it.
Kripke talked a lot about Sage's smarts being a source of deep loneliness and isolation for her, because she's thinking of so many things all the time. She's not surprised often. Humanity has kind of disappointed her deeply.
I think that's true for all of us.
Yeah, that resonates with me. So the idea that she has to turn her brain off to connect at all was really, really fun, very cathartic. And just as a performer, physically, she's very still. Tried to keep a bit of mystery when her powers are at their heights, and then I got to just be silly and goofy when the lobotomy happened. So it was fun as an artist too.
When I got this role, I was under the impression that I would never speak and my face would never be seen. And for me, it's been, a lifelong dream to be a part of a superhero show, and more importantly, to be a part of a great story. And with this show, I get both. And so to have my face now connected and associated with it is that dream realized.